are starting with some diaphragmatic breathing in a tabletop position. If you have any yoga blocks, I would grab them just so that they're around for some more support and just another tool to use. If you don't have yoga blocks, don't worry about it. You don't need them. So we're coming to a tabletop position, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Essentially, the diaphragmatic breathing is going to be a way for us to open up space in our ribs to create a stretch from the inside out. We'll be doing this in flexion, spine flexion, so you'll round your back as much as you can, essentially pushing the floor away, just trying to chase for some sort of sensation of stretch in the back. We'll do 6 breaths here. I want you to do your best to maintain flexion in your spine. You're going to take an inhale in through your nose and exhale out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. On every inhalation, I want you to pull the air into your ribs and not your belly. Using that breath to stretch from the inside out, opening the ribs. If you do these pretty well, you should start to feel your ribs actually opening with each inhale that you do, feeling air being pulled into the back space of your rib cage. With each exhale, you're blowing out the mouth. If you do that fairly well, you should feel abdominal contraction at the end of your exhale. We have one more. Great. Making our way to our second exercise, a lumbar cat-cow. So hands can be stacked. You can rest your head into your hands. And this is essentially to segment the low part of your spine and also get movement into the pelvis. To start off, you are going to first round your entire back here. I want you to block out any upper spine movement. Keep it in flexion. Just keep it where it is. We're focusing on the lowest part of the spine where the spine meets the pelvis. You're going to start with that pelvis and you're going to go into an anterior tilt. So you're going to spill all of your supple contents forward as you slowly start to bleed into extension in that low spine. And then we scoop our pelvis the other way. Trying to round and stretch all of that low spine area. We have 6 reps. This is going to help create a better connection of how to independently move your pelvis / low spine. Connect to low core. Can you actually feel your lower abdominals as you start to scoop your pelvis under? Do you feel contraction in those low spine muscles as you go to extension? And are you able to stabilize the upper spine so you can disassociate to move the lower half? Perfect. Once you've done about 6 to 8 reps there, we'll take it to a full spine segmentation. I'm going to spice this up by creating a little bit of a tension tactic by putting a block between my thighs. Once again, this is totally optional. You don't need a block, but it can help create more tension in the body so you can feel more segmentation. If you have the block, create a little bit of a squeeze. You're going to round the whole back. So now we're going to segment the whole spine, starting with that pelvic tilt once again. Squeezing the block as you start to tilt that pelvis forward. Bleeding into the mid-spine. Using your upper spine muscles to pull you into extension. And then we reverse. You can do 6 to 8 reps here or put on a 2-minute timer. Feel free to pause this video whenever you need to so you can just focus on you and your body. Remember, we are trying to move each vertebrae of the spine to have a better connection of where our spine is in space, what's moving, maybe what's not moving, and to get movement in the spine. Finishing our last rep here. All right, perfect. Go ahead and put that block away. We're going to do some adductor rocks. Knee will be right above or right below your hip, and you'll kickstand your right leg out to the side. Feel free to play with the angle of this right leg. It can be more forward or back. You'll see where you need it to be to find the stretch in your growing area. So you're going to start to set your hip down to your heel. And as you go down, you're searching for stretch somewhere in the inner thigh area here. And you're going to rock up. We'll do 6 reps here. Shooting those hips back, trying to search for that stretch. And then coming up. You can also play around with where the leg is rotated. Maybe the toes are rotated up, or maybe they're rotated in. So that will also change different areas of where you feel stretch in the tissues. Remember, stretching is you're chasing sensation, not necessarily range of motion or trying to regurgitate what you see someone doing and copying them, because we all have different anatomy, different history, and what our bodies have. This is our last rep. You'll pull that leg in, and then you'll shoot the left leg out, and we do 6 to 8 reps here. Remember, you can always adjust your reps. Searching for that stretch somewhere in the inner thigh. Let's say you have a lot of flexibility and maybe you're not feeling anything at all. You can also shoot this leg further away from you, bringing you more into almost like a half straddle. You should definitely start to feel some stretch there. And it is okay if your pelvis has shifted over the knee or from underneath. If the leg is further out, this will require a little bit more strength and control. Two more reps here. Finding that stretch. Last one. Nice. Now that we have prepped our adductor stuff, I'm going to come to a straddle for a kinetic stretch and straddle. If you have a block, option to hold a block here can be a nice additional progressive way to challenge. I'm going to show in this variation and then a more modified version. But I want you to keep your heels heavy into the floor as you start to hinge forward. The thing with straddle stretch and hinging forward is that your pelvis has to have a certain amount of range of motion to tilt forward, so that anterior tilt. If you are struggling with pelvis movement and your pelvis literally doesn't move, it might feel like you are not able to do this stretch. That is okay. I'm going to recommend sitting on a block like so, bringing your hands down to the floor and just using your hands for a little bit support as we go through this kinetic stretch. So hugging your block or whatever objects you have, maybe it's a pillow, I don't care. But heavy heels into the floor, nice tall spine. You're going to start to pull your belly button towards the mat. And then you're going to gas pedal those heels, the back of your legs, down into the floor to come up. Nice tall spine. We have 6 reps. Letting that pelvis rotate forward. Getting to the end of that stretch. Big push up. If you're not using the block, you can use your hands for support here. Keeping heavy heels. Finding that stretch. Press yourself up. We have 3 more reps. Hands can also be on the hips. I'm just throwing out all the variations at you guys. You know, we're going to have a lot of different levels here. If you're feeling really spicy, you can put your hands, interlace them behind your head, and then you'll really load the stretch. We have one more here. Whew. That is a spicy one for sure. Flexor liftoffs. Super spicy. Blocks will be helpful here, but doesn't necessarily need to be a block. You can use any random object. It could literally be a shoe. I don't care. But we're going to be doing some hip flexor liftoffs, engaging, strengthening, controlling our hip flexors. You can stay in the straddle position and do your hip flexor liftoffs. If that is not comfortable for you, just start to bring your legs closer together, and you can kind of gauge where you would like to be for these liftoffs. Maybe you don't even need an object because you just need to work on hip flexor stuff. So just know that the block object obstacle is optional. You don't absolutely need it, but let's go ahead and find whatever base position you would like to set up in. If you have a block, the lower it is, the easier it is, the higher it is, the more you will be challenged. If you have a lot of range of motion for my hypermobile people, let's say you have like this much space between you and said object, to strengthen your weaknesses, I would not make this easy for you. Try to close that gap so that you have to really work a little bit hard to strengthen and control that range of motion that you have. So I would raise the block up so that you're a little bit more challenged. Also, the point of this exercise is not just to clear the object, but to keep tension under more time under tension for your hip flexors. We have 6 reps on the right, and then we'll do 6 on the left. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, lift off. Again. Again. Woo! Good. 2 more. Last one, best one. This will never get easier. Here we go. 6 on the next. As you can see, I changed my hand position about 5 times. They can be here. Having them further behind you will make this easier, but don't make it too easy because we don't want you to be just relaxing. We want to keep tension in those hip flexors. 6 reps. Let's go. Big breath. 2 more. Last one. Woo! And that concludes our exercises for today. Feel free to cycle through these as much as you need. Pause the video when you need so you can get the most out of this and not feel rushed. All right.